All right, hello and welcome. How's everyone doing? I'm sorry. I was actually reading the chat. Mr. Lindell Groovy movie. Are you pranking us right now? Like you're lying, right? You're 100% lying. I just need you to write in the chat that you are actually lying to us right now. It. Oh my goodness, no. I'm sorry.
I
Everyone, hold tight.
did I did not know this.
Hold tight. How did you hear this? Is this on his Discord? Is it on YouTube? Did his mom post something? Sorry, we'll get going in a
I
minute here, everyone. I need proof. I need the
It's
receipts,
first I've
man.
heard anything. Oh my
I'm running
goodness.
over to his Discord.
Haven't seen anything on his Discord this evening about it. In fact, that's probably the last place I've heard information about his situation.
Okay, so he's saying that it just happened. His mom called LDG. Oh,
Oh my goodness.
that's so horrible. Wow. All right, so anyone who's not seeing the chat right now, he just said that Bird of Prey 5, the fearless leader of Kuroga, has just passed away, and that he apparently Mama Prey called LDG. If you guys don't know who Bird of Prey 5 is, you have missed out. He was actually someone. And sorry, Jeff, I opened a screen over your window, so you froze there. He's one of the people that got me into streaming in the first place. Uh, the very fact actually that we are doing these watch parties is because of Birdo Prey 5. Um, he back in the day he did Deep Space Nine streams. Deep Space Nine is his hands down favorite Star Trek of all of them, and so because he loved it so much, he started to just go through it every week, episode by episode, and he'd say what everyone's saying. And I've done my best to do my version of what he has inspired me to do through imitation of what he does. Because he was absolutely my inspiration for this. I'm like, well, you know what? I don't want to do the same thing he's doing. He's doing Deep Space Nine, but I'd love to do something like that. And so me and John started to do
Bequest.
Yes, Sequest. Thank you. I started to say Deep Quest. I'm like, that is not the name of that.
Oh,
Sequest. And then as Sequest was ending, Jeff and I wanted to do Babylon 5. Life happened. It took me a couple years, and now we're doing this right now. But was an amazing guy. So Bird of Prey 5, he I'll try and find the video at some point and link it. But he went into a hospital for some issues he was having, and he was in terrible pain. And they said, "Hey, you know what? If you want, we can put you into an artificial coma. We'll sedate you. You'll be asleep. We'll be able to do the procedure. When you wake up, the pain will be gone." He said, "Okay, let's do this." And when he woke up, something had gone wrong, and from that point on, he was unable to walk. He was in IT. He did all sorts of fun stuff, and instead of being just crushed by this, I mean, it was obviously emotionally very difficult for him. But instead of letting this define who he was from here on out, he took this and just said, I'm going to do whatever I want to now. Like I'm going to make the most of life anyway." And he constantly had an upbeat personality. He he did all sorts of fun streams. I mean, he set up so many of the fun stuff we used to do, like Space Engineers. We used to play Space Engineers together, and he led the Kuroga faction, and Michael the Salty Trekker. So I kept trying to say Anti-Trekker. That's what I knew him first as. But Michael led the what did he call his faction? Do you remember? Was it just the Anti-Trekker faction or
Turtistan.
Turtistan? Oh yes, Turtistan, because he used to have his emoji or his avatar online as a poop emoji, so he was Turtistan. And we'd all get together and we'd play these games and we'd stream it, and it was so much fun. And he was such a cornerstone of this community that grew up back then. And I mean, so many of us got started because he helped us do it. I mean, he helped me out. He had a website that he set up, and um, so he helped me out. I know he helped out. Can't think of his name off the top of my head. He used to do reviews of TOS episodes. Mike. Do
I'm
you
not
remember his
sure who
last?
that is. I'm not sure who that
Vile
is.
Mike.
Oh,
Vile Mike.
Biomike. Okay, Biomike. Yeah. Sorry.
Uh, he didn't get Rock Solid Productions going, but Rock Solid Productions, Gary, who does amazing reviews of all things entertainment wise for video game sort of stuff, especially retro stuff. I say especially retro stuff, especially all stuff video game wise. Um, Gary was a good friend of his, and he did we just kind of built up around him, you know. And of course, Michael, he helped out Michael, the anti-trekker, salty trekker, out quite a bit. So that's, and I know he was in the hospital here recently, and had just been able to go home a couple days ago. Uh, so yeah,
Last
it's
Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday last week, I think.
yeah, yeah. So man, he's gonna be missed. That's a heavy
He
thing.
was he was on Jeopardy on Saturday night. I mean, he didn't play, but he was there. He was participating in the chat.
Hmm.
He seemed in pretty good spirits. His last short that he did from the hospital sounded upbeat. I did one when he got home, another short. Sounded pretty good there too. It's
Yeah,
just a shocker.
it really is. I mean, it must have just, you know, when God says this is it, this is it, and
It's true.
he's gonna be missed, man. But
He's touched so many lives on YouTube. It's just incredible. The number of people that knew him and helped him and supported him, and his streams are just so fun to listen to and participate on. He made everyone feel welcome.
he really did, and you know, I I really hope I really hope that someone got some communication wires across, and I am needlessly eulogizing him. But
Yeah, me too.
I'm I mean,
Mr. Londell is a pretty smart cookie. I don't think
yeah,
he would get his communication crossed, but
and I know that LDG and him, and they did share information, so I have no reason to believe that LDG would ever be deceitful about this.
no, I don't think he would be deceitful about this. No.
What's LDG's channel name?
Yes.
I wonder if he's.
He has like a dozen different channels. Indeed, gorilla, Kapla bird, Kapla.
Okay, well, I mean, and thanks for letting us know. That's I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Londell.
Yeah. So on that, I mean, I guess let me try and transition here.
Not an easy transition, that's for sure.
It's
What
it's
a way to
not.
start the stream.
So I I am going to kind of do an intellectual emotional restart here. It's going to be a little bit jarring, everyone, but you know, just bear with me, and we're going to do the stream, and we'll go from there. So I'm just going to do a quick switch, and then we'll get this going here in a second, okay? All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. I hope that you are having a, well, you know, I usually say fantastic. I can't say that now, but I hope that you are having a, all things considered, good Monday, August the 26th. Jeff, how are you doing today, man?
A little shaken at the moment, but otherwise pretty good.
Same.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure with the news.
So I had a good weekend. If you guys don't know, one of the things I really enjoy doing here in life is biking. Bicycling. I have to clarify because I tell people this often, and they go, "Well, surely you are not a little child, so you're not talking about a bicycle. You must be talking about a motorcycle." And I tell people, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do this, 50-mile ride, 100-mile ride." And they're like, "I don't see why this is a big deal. Of course you're going to be able to do this on a motorcycle." And so it takes people a couple of minutes to realize I'm talking. No, there's this thing called a Hotter Than Hell ride that happens every year in Wichita Falls. And the idea is that you can do up to 100 miles on this bike route, and they have rest stops, and you see people dressing up in themes each year to do this thing. And I've seen people on electric bikes. I've seen people on unicycles doing this ride, and it's nuts. I assume the unicyclist, I think he did the 25-mile route, which I think is frankly more impressive than me doing a 100-mile route. But I had this weekend, and I did not do the 100-mile route this year. I only did the 100K, so that was about 63 miles. Once you factor in, like, I had to bike to the starting line and bike back to my car. But yeah, Texas, if I say cycling, people would probably know what I mean more. So you'd think so. It was really fun. Every year I go with my brother's father-in-law and his group of friends, who the oldest one is turning 80 this year. He is legit double my age. And I cannot keep up with this man over the first 20 miles. Like, at one point on this ride, I thought I had left them all in the dust, and I was feeling a little bit guilty because, you change who's in front, and everyone else kind of drifts behind you. So I take the point, and I think everyone's gotten lost in the crowd behind me because thousands of people come out to this event. And I feel like I'm really doing good here. I think I'm doing about 18 miles an hour. And all of a sudden, he just calmly passes me on my right, just not even breaking a sweat, going right by me. And I'm like putting all my energy into keeping the pace with all these other people. And like, I can't beat this guy. I don't understand it. He's 80 years old and I can't beat this guy. It's it's really humbling, but it's always fun. But this year, I actually had a bit of a rough time because the night before I had ants in my bed. So we
That blows my mind.
it blows my mind too. So it's this Christian camp that we go to. So my brother's father-in-law, David, he somehow he was aware of this camp, and he's been doing this for 30 years. He's missed 2 years out of 30. For 30 years, he's done this Hotter Than Hell ride. And so he has this long time reservations. About 4 years ago, when I started doing it, he had a buddy that he shares a room with, and that guy wasn't able to come anymore. So there's 3 beds in this room. There's 2 singles, and then I got like the queen or double, or I don't know bed sizes. And so these old guys are like, "Oh, we'll be nice to Matthew. We'll let him have the big bed." And so, we spend the whole evening, we're talking, we're having a good time, seeing what people have been doing over the past year. And it's bedtime, so I pull back the cover, and there are literally just ants covering this bed.
Oh my goodness.
Underneath the pillowcase, there's 2 pillows, and you pull back the sheet. Maybe 50 ants. Let me not oversell this. There are maybe about 50 ants here in this bed. I'm like, that's weird. And I open up the pillowcase, and there's ants inside the pillowcase.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
like, okay, they are located like just on the top half of this bed here. What must have happened, giving them the benefit of the doubt, what must have happened is that these pillows were left somewhere. Maids picked them up and put them on the bed. The ants are already in there, and they're crawling out. That's all I got. So, I throw the pillows by the door. I always bring my own pillow because I'm smart enough like that, where I don't trust hotel pillows or camp pillows for that matter. So I'm like, okay, we're fine. I shoo all the ants off. No worries. 4 a.m. I wake up, and my bed is once again covered in ants. And I am slightly covered in ants. And I thought I didn't
Oh,
get any bites, but I found a couple yesterday. I got maybe 3 or 4 bites on me, and it was fire ants, Trevor Lauren.
oh,
You know,
yikes.
little black butts and red bodies on them, and thankfully they weren't too aggressive. I guess like I'm in bed, and they're crawling on me apparently, and I guess a couple times I must have rolled over on one of them or something, and they didn't like that, so they bit me. But uh, I finally found out, like I was at the point where I'm like, are these things dropping from the ceiling on me because it's like a drop tile ceiling? And I finally found it. So I pulled the mattress back a little bit, and I found them crawling up the headboard. So
Oh,
clearly they have an entrance like right there in the corner where this bed is. And I was just so happened to be lucky enough to have the bed right next to them. So they'd crawl up the headboard, crawl onto the mattress, and crawl onto me. So, uh, not my. So I spend the next 20 minutes trying to brush them off the bed again. But of course, they're waking up for the day. So like every time I think I got them all, more of them climb onto the mattress. It's
right,
never an
right.
ending cycle. But we were getting up at 4:30 anyway to do this ride. So we wake up. The camp has an amazing breakfast and dinner every year, and even has some gluten-free, dairy-free options for me. So that was good. And then we drive out to the place. We're at the starting line. About 6:20. Then we just hang out talking, and the ride starts at 7. So I did good. I ranked just below. Like I guess, how would you say this? I was like, if there's 50 people, I was around 24. So just above
Right, right in the
50%,
middle.
just
Yeah,
below. What's the nomenclature for that? I was in the top 49 percentile. I
yeah,
beat 50% of the people-ish, 51%.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's goodish. I mean, I wish I had done a little bit better, but
Goodish.
like I'm literally, if you take the most averagely mediocre person, that's me. I am right smack dab in the middle there. Uh, it was like people in my age bracket, 25 out of 51. Good job. All men competing in the 100K division. I was like right in the middle. You add in women, still right in the middle, which was a little bit humbling because, if I'm competing with people in my age, other men, I feel kind of good that I'm about halfway. But when you consider the fact that there were a lot of like 12-year-olds doing this race too, and when you factor those people in, they all beat me too. Like that really, really puts me in my place.
Well, you haven't been writing very much lately either, so that might
It's true.
factor into things.
It's true. I wish I was doing more writing, but unfortunately, just this year, it's been it's been a year. I mean, rainy in the nice part of the year, and then just life kind of gets away. Every day, I have good intentions to spend some time, just during the lunch break. Go out. How far can I bike? Turn around and get back and back to work. During lunch break, and then before I know it, it's like 2, 3 in the afternoon, and I have a very firm rule since I'm a road bike cyclist. I don't ride during peak hours. So
Oh, that's
anytime after
smart.
2, I just stay off the road because I don't want to
Yeah.
be in other people's way because that just is going to make them mad. That's not going to be safe for me. It's not going to be safe for other cyclists because when I'm in people's way, that just gets like drivers like, oh, I hate bicyclists so much. And then the next guy has to deal with the fact that I was making bad choices by being in someone's way. So,
Right.
it's been a thing.
So the
But
real
yeah,
question is, did you run over any little old ladies?
I didn't. Um, I didn't. Not this year.
This year.
Not this year. It was interesting though. This is something I don't quite understand. But every year there are would you call it a casualty? They don't die, but there's medical emergencies. So you have, especially the starting line. So they stagger us so that about, a couple hundred people are going in each group. Maybe about 500 people in each group. But even with that, everyone's still so congested at the starting line. You have accidents, you have wipeouts, people are falling over, you get injuries. And then as the day goes on, it's hotter than hell out there. And
Hence
so
the name, right?
yeah, and like literally the name. So it was the 100th year anniversary for Wichita Falls, and they're like, we need to do something amazing. And they go, I know. How about we get 100 rocking chairs, and we have people rocking these chairs for 100 hours, something like that. And everyone's like, that's kind of lame, that's not very interesting. Cracker Barrel would have loved it, but that's not really super interesting.
Probably.
And someone said, I know. What if we do 100-mile bike ride? 1 mile for each year that the city is celebrating. And apparently one of the other people looked at him and said, are you an idiot? It's going to be hotter than hell at that time. And everyone just looked at each other and they said, no, that's it. And so that's how they got their name, and that's how they decided to do it. And this was the 43rd year that they've been doing it. So it's taken off. But every year there's medical tents set up at these rest stops, which are about every 10 miles. And I see people, they have like paper towels that they just soak in ice water, and people are laid out on their back, and you got the paper towels just covering their entire body trying to cool off. And I cannot figure out how people get into this condition. And Amy pointed out, I've grown up in Texas all my life. In fact, there's Amy right now. Says it's almost like it's a bad idea to ride in the heat. Huh. This has actually been something that Amy has endured, has quote unquote supported me in, begrudgingly in, where she really doesn't like the fact that I go riding in the afternoons, but she understands that I do all the steps to be safe. So she doesn't make a stink about it. She is a very supportive wife like that, and I appreciate it. But it's always been a little stickler for her. Like, why don't you go first thing in the morning when it's nice and cool? Why are you doing this at, 1 in the afternoon at the hardest part of the day? Heart cry face. Exactly, hon. But yeah, so I don't get it. Maybe they're brand new here. Maybe this is their first year doing it, but there's so much opportunities to be safe on this ride. Rest stops every 10 miles. You pull into the shade. They got big coverings. They have ice water. They have ice electrolytes. They have pickle juice, which is a thing bikers do for some reason. I don't understand it, but it works. It keeps your muscles from cramping. And so I don't like last year, it's called sagging out. You get on the supplies and gear wagon, sag wagon. And so I got to mile 78 and I said, I'm done. Like, I could spend the next 4 hours limping from rest stop to finish the last 22 miles of the ride. But this is foolishness at this point. It's just going to get hotter and hotter. And I'm just going to be done. So I got on sag wagon, and I didn't have a medical emergency. This year it's getting a little hot. I grabbed an extra thing of ice water and, cooled off before I set off on it. So I don't know if like Amy says, people just don't know how to ride in this heat. I don't know if people are underestimating the heat or if there's something else. Like, maybe it's just that I am so acclimated to this that I am underestimating how dangerous of a situation it is for people. It's a mystery to me. And I fully admit that I am not intelligent enough to really understand why it's going on, but it happens every year.
Well, you probably have people coming from all over the place to take part in it. Maybe they're not used to the heat there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I actually talked to a guy from Missouri this year. I mean, that's, it's south. Wait, that's not south.
It's northeast.
I'm thinking Mississippi. My brain is an interesting place to be. I even said it out loud, and my brain just put on the map of America right there at Mississippi. I'm like, yeah, this is close enough. This is it. Yeah, it's pronounced misery. Sorry, positive. And yes, LDG, thanks for dropping by. Mr. Lundell did fill us in. Thank you for confirming that Bird of Prey 5 did pass away. That's rough. I'm hoping that his mom, Mama Prey, posts a video sometime. Just lets us know what happened if she's willing. Drops in Discord. Hey, if there's anything we can do, like if we can send flowers, if she sets up a GoFundMe maybe where we could do some donations to cover funeral costs, please let us know. Anyone who gets information about that. We love Bird of Prey so much, and Mama Prey has just been amazing, and I personally would love to do anything I can to support her during this time and send our love and condolences. So yeah, Babylon 5. Let's jump into this here. You know what I should do? I should probably drop the link to the screening room.
That might be a good idea, Matthew.
And let's go ahead and pin that. So speaking of my mind being a weird place, a rambling place. Thomas, yes. So by any chance, Jeff, did you get anything from my ramblings on what my predictions for this week was?
You said Jakar comes back with revelations about what he suspects of the shadow spiders. I think that maybe Dolores leaves the cocoon, maybe at the end of this episode upcoming. You're wondering how she has changed, how that might have repercussions with her species, with her society, and that was pretty much it. Oh, you were also interested. Did something interrupt the process of the transformation?
Okay. Thank you. How can anyone get anything from Matthew's rambling? I don't know. And Thomas, thanks for that. I just texted Michael the news. Thank you. Hopefully that's still his number. It's been a minute since we've gotten to hang out and chat. Every time I hear Dolores, I just want to think Mooners, but that was Alice. No, Dolores, the only time I've ever heard that name in media really was from a Donald Duck cartoon where he had an elephant that he was washing down named Dolores. It was Chip and Dale and Donald Duck. And he sang a song about it too and whistled. That's the only time I ever heard Dolores. So let's see how absolutely wrong I was. I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but I think I predicted Jakar might be coming back.
I did mention that. That's the first thing I said. Jakar comes back with revelations about what he suspects of the shadow spiders.
Is also Eddie Valentine's love interest in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Oh, okay. And there's a villainous character named Dolores Umbridge in the Harry Potter stories. Okay, so Trevor Lauren. Thomas is probably going to make fun of me in just a minute because I mentioned the statistic once, and Thomas loves to remind me of that. But I'm not a Harry Potter guy. I don't know. I never read the books, never watched the movie. But if I recall correctly, because you cannot be like in my generation and not have knowledge of Harry Potter. Like it is everywhere. Umbridge, she was the name. That was the lady who was like one of the bad girls, right? That she came in and like toward the end of the series, all girls academy sort of place, very much the antagonist for the characters. Isn't that right?
I have no idea. I'm not versed in Harry Potter at all.
Neither am I. Oh, that's right. Okay, there we go. See, I'm really bad at remembering names, but I'm pretty good at remembering broad details. As long as the detail is it Mississippi or Missouri, I'm pretty good. I don't know, Thomas. What do you call it? Not all girls academy, all girls preparatory school, boarding school. That's what the Brits do, right?
Boarding school, yeah.
Uh, yeah, Matt's not doing a Harry Potter stream. So let's see. I need to get the right things queued up here. But we'll get those clips put in. And, whoop, not yet. Hold up there. So, if you're new here, welcome. So glad you're here for what is, even for me, a bit of a rambling stream. But the way we do this is if you click on the link that I have pinned up above, you can come to the screening room and that will synchronize all of our watch times together so that we can watch this plus or minus a couple seconds at the same time. If you're here in the future, or let's say you only have, if you're here in the future, then you can't watch it there. This isn't a way to watch things. I'm not a streaming service. You need to go get your own copy. Best way to do that, in my personal opinion, go buy the Blu-rays from Amazon. They typically stick around $73, $75, and they are fantastic. Just make sure that you buy your own DVD cases because the case material that they come in, less than stellar.
If very poor.
Yeah, that's me being diplomatic. They're very poor. If you don't want to buy physical media, which I think you're crazy, but there's more than one cup of tea out there. You can watch this on Amazon. It's included with Amazon Prime. You can watch this on not Peacock,
iTunes.
You can buy it on iTunes. You can buy it on Google, YouTube. Same difference. Yep. And you can watch it for free with ads on
Tubi TV.
Tubi TV. There we go. My brain was so blanking on that. And John's saying the price for the discs went up. So if they're high right now, go ahead and give it a couple weeks. It seems like every couple weeks they do a sale on these. So just bide your time. Like use the free stuff because Tubi TV, it's a very decent quality. Like I'm not sure if it's the full. Yeah, it's the remastered stuff.
Yes, it is.
So I mean, you can make do watching ads on Tubi TV, and whenever the sale for the physical media comes up, grab it. Well worth it. If for any reason you don't want to watch it on a second screen, you just want to, you're here for the stream, for my ramblings and for stuff like that. Thank you. I appreciate that. And we got you covered. Once every 9-ish seconds, we're going to show a still image. It's just a kind of a clip show thing. We just go through image after image so that you can have a picture reference for what's going on at approximately this moment in time. There's no sound, provided I haven't messed up my soundboard settings. And as always, if there's sound, just holler at me, anyone but Josh Street, because he's taught me too many times not to trust him. I say that, but also he is the one who, when there is sound coming through, he's like the first one to warn me legitimately.
He is.
So
we just can't trust you. We don't know if you're kidding or not.
It's a catch-22 with Mr. Street. So with that, let's go ahead and kick this off. I'll give you a 3 count down. That's true, Thomas. Josh has been telling the truth for a long time. That's true. So I'll give you a 3 countdown, and then we can all hit our play button together and kick this off. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hit that play button, everyone. And one of the things we were talking about in the last episode is how between seasons, they have really upped their game in visuals. The sets are a little spiffier. The CGIs are a little bit better. So Londo is frustrated about how many other ambassadors aren't here. Veer, right?
Veer.
Linear.
Yeah, Linear.
Lanier, he's saying, well, Dolores is indisposed, and Londo's like, indisposed? She's in a cocoon. And he's like, yeah, and now also he's upset Jakar has gone AWOL. When is he getting back? No one's telling him anything. He says, we demand that new representatives be assigned if they're not going to be available.
He said Dolores is exploring new career opportunities, and she's turning into a butterfly. Now, this is the new Natoth, played by Mary Kay Adams. And she was on Star Trek.
Oh, yeah? What did she...
She played Grilka, the Klingon
okay,
that
yes.
marries Quark.
Okay. So he's being attacked by... This isn't the Shadow Spiders, is it?
They're not the same ships, are they?
They had that same kind of webby feel to them, but they're definitely not the same. Was that Jakar?
No.
Yeah, Texas, they have a similar vibe. Exactly, Josh. If I can't remember Lanier, I can at least remember Danger Will Robinson. Now, one of the interesting things, I mean, just from this one quick scene, is at the end of last season, they set up the idea that Londo is primed for kind of joining up with the Shadow Spiders that we saw. We saw Rod Sterling making this comment about how he thinks that after he kind of casts his lot in with the Shadow Spider representative, that he's in a position not really to argue, and he thinks that he's going to come to their side. And so that one quick exchange where Londo's being a little more aggressive, a little more in their face, kind of has, to me, has a feeling like, hey, maybe we're setting the tone for Londo now, that he is starting to go more negative emotions, whereas last season, I mean, we certainly saw him yelling at people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Londo has also rather consistently last season been a character that brings levity to situations.
He did. Well, that's what I love about his character. But he's seen an opportunity to bring his race back up into power by allying with another power.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I'm going to be interested to see if they do is have him kind of be on edge for a little bit as he's wrestling with his guilt. Like, he was so guilty. Like, the actor who plays Londo did an amazing job conveying his sense of guilt at the end of the last season as he sat there seeing how Garibaldi was doing. I'm sorry. Did they just say Harlan Ellison? A consultation?
Yeah, he's been very involved with Babylon 5.
Isn't Ellison pretty famous in Trek as well?
He is. Yeah, Joel's right. Harlan is a consultant for Babylon 5.
Have I just been ignoring all of his references?
City on the River, Harlan Ellison. City on the Edge of Forever. That's what Shatner calls it. City on the River.
Okay, I do like that right now. Dr. Franklin is referencing this amazing life-saving device that they discovered with the on the episode that had the mom from Lost in Space.
Yes. June Lockhart.
And I actually was a little tongue in cheek on that one, where Garibaldi's lying there dying, and I was like, oh man, if only they had this device that could save someone's life by giving them some of your own or a condemned criminal's life, that sure would be
Well,
convenient.
Franklin knows how dangerous the thing can be, and he's hasn't really used it. He's seen it in use, but hasn't used it himself, so he's being very cautious.
And Trek Reviewer wants to know if anyone else is having trouble with the streaming room. It's going
I'm
well for
not.
me. Okay, this is Beverly Leach, I think. And she did
Yes.
one episode of Voyager.
Yes. Dela.
I don't remember what the episode. Oh, I don't remember what the plot of the episode was. Nightingale, I think I saw on IMDb.
It's the one where Kim takes over command of a ship. Uh, he's trying to get the ship home.
But it was also a scam,
And
wasn't it? The girl.
yeah. They were working on a cloaking device.
No, she wasn't Tasha. That's going to be someone else up on this episode, I believe.
Yeah.
Not Tasha Yar, Tasha's sister.
Sister.
Her daughter?
Ishara. No. Sister.
Okay.
There's Rod Sterling again.
Ooh. Londo, he's getting over his guilt a little bit. Oh no. Okay, sorry. I was interested to see if Sterling was going to go for it. Okay, so Londo, he seems to be coming to grips with what happened, and instead of feeling guilty about it now, it seems like he's kind of leaning into it, and he's saying, "Hey, what would it take to get another one of these favors? Wipe out some other outpost." And then he makes an off the cuff remark about, well, why not just take out the entire Narn homeworld? And he says it, tongue in cheek, but Sterling, he says all in due time. It's not time yet.
One thing at a time.
And I do like that Londo's response to that moment is still like a little bit like, oh my goodness, I wasn't serious. Like it seems like he hasn't completely gone over to that side, and the idea of wiping out the homeworld still bothers him a little bit. That, or he was wrestling with the idea like, wait, you're serious? You could do that for me? We could get there someday? Like, I'm not sure which way they're taking him right now. Hopefully it was the former. Hopefully he was like still having just a little bit of hesitation about that much wholesale murder. Oh, so Sheridan's wife died 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And that, okay, what he's saying is so true. Like, there are still times, my dad's been dead for 4.5 years now, and there are still times where, like, I'll do this exact same thing. Well, where something will happen, I'll be like, ooh, I should tell my dad about this. Or, oh man, I should get my dad's advice on this. And it's like, It's like the brain just tries to shift gears too quickly, and then I have to go, oh wait, I can't do that. Now he's still at the point of the grieving process where when his brain slips like that, it crushes him again. He's not able to move past it. But he's hoping that he and his sister can just catch up. Let's not talk about the extreme emotional pain and torment I'm in. Let's just keep it light.
Texas is saying that Londo still doesn't understand what he's gotten himself into, and I kind of agree with that. Omni says that nice acting by Bruce Boxleitner here. Excellent acting.
And yes, John, he exists here. Oh no! You're talking about one of the early episodes of Deep Space Nine. I was thinking one of my favorite of all time episodes of Deep Space Nine, where Avery Brooks just got to act his heart out. Uh, and he talked about how the characters are real. They're real to me. But no, you're talking about when he first meets the wormhole aliens, and they talk about how he exists here in this moment. So one of the things they established with this device is that while it was used to completely transfer the life force from one person to another, um, like a condemned criminal to prolong the life of someone else, you could do smaller doses and it would still shave your life away, but it would be like, oh, we're shaving off minutes instead of, you know, everything you have left. And yeah, Thomas, the racism episode where Cisco found himself back in like, was it the 40s or 50s or something? And it was hands down one of the best, well done episodes on racism in Trek, because in it they showed not only those who were overtly racist, but also those who were content to let the racism exist and say, well, that's just the way things are, which I think is a lot more horrifying. Like, overt racists, they're just out in the open and they can easily be condemned. But the people who just sit in the background and let it happen, like, that's the real horrifying thing to me. People who just let it happen.
Yeah, the episode was far beyond the stars.
Yes. Yeah,
And
Thomas
Thomas
Matthew has a
says Matthew.
favorite theme. So Jakar has been out scouting things, and he's saying there are worlds where no life has been like, they're just dead worlds for thousands of years, and yet there's something gathering, something moving there, gathering darkness.
So you're right. Shakar comes back with revelations.
But is it about the shadow spiders?
Is it?
I think it might be too soon to I don't. They might not even get to that in this episode. Too soon to tell. Yes, Texas. That was the Driving Miss Daisy episode of Quantum Leap. Excellent episode.
Very good episode.
I think that was one of the few times, maybe even the only time throughout all of Quantum Leap where someone actually was able to hear Al outside of Sam Beckett.
Uh-oh.
That's not Sterling, right?
No, that is not.
Okay,
That's Jack,
they
the one
have,
that shot Garibaldi.
yeah, they have very similar hairstyles, Jack and Sterling, and so I can't really tell them apart. I was largely confident it wasn't him, but I wasn't certain. But hey, Garibaldi's awake now at least.
Yes. Well, I think they would have him sleep for the whole season or anything.
He's
I'm
being
not
pretty
sure what.
bold in the back,
Yeah, I'm not sure what Jack's up to here. What's he going to do? Shoot them all?
right? Similar hairstyles, Thomas. See, and look, they
I
have a very similar comb to the side, kind of curly hair, gentle curls. We've
That's
talked
right,
about
Texas.
this. Sorry, was that Jeff?
Yes, Texas. Jack was originally the actor that plays Jack was originally Michael O'Hare's assistant. He was the only one who had to decide if it was Red Day, in other words, a bad day for O'Hare as Sinclair.
so, so Jakar, I'm like loving this exchange. Londo is still being slightly antagonistic toward Jakar, but Jakar is actually kind of keeping the big picture in mind and saying, "Hey, you know what? We're never going to get past these issues right now until something changes between us."
They're almost switching places.
They are. And did he just ask, "What do you want?" And then Londo says, "That's a very good question."
I missed that. Looks like Dolores is out of the cocoon.
I've been told she's going to be a butterfly and a moth. A motherfly. But I do like how Jakar is very much um, trying to take a reconciliatory tone here. He is seeking peace, and I feel as if one, he's been going around and seeing all the dangers going on, but two, I get the feeling that um, the last words of the previous guy. Now I can only think Sheridan.
Sinclair.
There we go, Sinclair. The last words of Sinclair that they spoke together, I feel like they did have a meaningful impact on him, and it's really got him to reevaluate what he was doing. Trevor Lauren is saying moths make cocoons, butterflies make chrysalises. This is looks like she has a bad case of psoriasis.
Something.
Matthew's probably Picard and Cisco are both bald, so I confuse them. No, no, because Cisco has the goatee. It's how I keep them straight. But no, Thomas, we've talked about it. I am largely face blind, and there are like the way I identify people is often by location. I know I see certain people at certain places all the time, and by secondary characteristics. Like I don't do well at like, oh, we look at these points and those points or whatever. Like my brain just can't see it. It's clearly Jeff looks like Sean. Again, it's the beard, you know?
Yeah, the beard.
Also, for someone who said he doesn't want to talk about this, he's spending a lot of time talking about this.
He probably needed to talk about it, but didn't want to. And yeah, this is very good acting by the actor, Bruce Boxleitner.
But he's expressing his not just sorrow, his guilt over the fact that his wife has died because he feels directly responsible for her death. That right after he told her he was going to be gone, unable to see her, she took a science position elsewhere, and then I think he just said it was 2 weeks before he even knows she was gone. That would weigh on me too if I didn't notice that my wife was gone for 2 weeks. Yeah, so he's talking about how usually whenever they talked long distance, they'd always end by saying "I love you," and he's saying the last time, for whatever reason, he doesn't know if he was rushed or something else. He didn't tell her it. And yeah, I had a very similar thing with my best friend when I was 8, almost 9. It wasn't just that I didn't tell him I loved him the last time I saw him when we were 8-year-old boys. We didn't really do that. But the last things I ever said to him were "I hate you," and and that was the last time I ever got to see him. Like last words are so impactful. You got to be real careful about how you end your conversation with others.
Somebody's asking, did J. Michael Straczynski write this particular episode? And yes, he did.
So Dolores had no idea what was going to happen. Apparently, she's over here. What am I? What am I? She's in pain, from what I can tell. So apparently, in the holy books of the Narn people, they talked about these shadow spiders. Presumably, he's not naming them yet, but he's saying this race. And now that he's gone back to the planets that they came from, and he's seeing evidence of this race coming back.
Zahadum.
So he's convinced the homeworld to send a vessel to search the Zahardun planet to see if people are living there. Edge of known space. And whenever Jakar said Zahardun, it seemed like Londo perked up. It seemed like he. Oh, it's because it's on the rim.
Yeah.
And Londo, he's making choices. Unfortunately, he's letting Discount Sterling know that the Narn people are sending a ship out there, and he's telling them exactly when they're going to arrive. They're going to be walking into an ambush, it seems like, would be my guess.
Just want to bring out the welcome party. Say, hey, thanks for coming to the neighborhood.
We're super excited that you came to visit. Yeah, Texas, I was I made the connection between Khazad-dûm and Zahad-dûm. Okay, let's see if I can get her name. Talia.
Yes. Talia Winters. Seen her in a while.
So Garibaldi is asking Talia to look into his mind because he's trying to see if there's anything he could have missed. And she's warning him that even though he is willingly letting her in his mind, it can possibly cause discomfort. Now, personally, I don't see how she could see anything else. Oh, there we are. Reflective surface. I'm like, I was going to say, it's not like she can see behind his back. Just because the camera angle can see behind his back. But yes, Omni, apparently there was a mirror. Let's call it a reflective metal surface. She has wings like a butterfly. You guys should no. You guys have been messing with me on this Mothafly nonsense.
Good old Lou.
Did you say Fraggin?
I believe so.
That yeah, you can tell him what's Fraggin. That's pretty similar to what they did in
Battlestar.
What was it? The Cylon reboot.
Battlestar.
Where they
Galactica.
said frack. Yeah. But I actually saw, because I mean, this is what you come to my streams for. I actually saw an interesting video talking about the nature of swear words and how they're typically two syllables. Typically, they're quick and easy to say, and they usually end with a hard consonant sound. So frag that ends in a soft g consonant would not make a good swear word, according to the way that we make up our swear words. Like even the ones that are three syllables ends in a hard consonant. So he's saying, I had my instructions. There's a new order back home. And his aide, his number 2, he decided to side up with the other people, which presumably, if I were to make a guess right now, I'd say we're talking about Bestar's people, perhaps. It could be that this is still the Earth Force movement, because we talked about this before, but this show is really good about juggling many plates.
Oh yeah.
And just because there is the Bestars group who wants power through the Psi Core, there is also the Home Guard group, or the Earthlings First group, which is synonymous, I want to say.
Earth
Uh,
first. Yeah.
and it could be that he is part of the Home Guard, who are simply useful pawns in this situation. Like it's not necessarily that he is directly supporting Bester.
Aha. Did you catch that?
The beast seeing you in the salute hat tip.
That was Bester saying, "Be seeing you, Commander," to Sinclair.
Oh, I did not catch that. Thank you.
Mm.
Also, there's the Babcom. We talked about that last
Yep.
week. Okay. Okay. I was gonna say I'm curious how much direct involvement the VP had in the things that are going on, and it could have been that, you know, oftentimes if your political machinations are to achieve something, you don't necessarily care about the person you're putting in power beyond the fact that they're useful to you. And so I was curious if this VP was just a useful idiot sort of thing, where, uh, he didn't have direct support from some other group, but other groups knew that he would enact policy changes that were beneficial for their long-term goals. But instead, it does seem like he said, hey, go ahead and send this incredibly important witness on the first transport ship back home. We need to investigate this very seriously. And of course, as soon as I hear something like that, I'm like, yeah, he's totally going to get lost in the mail.
I just had a thought, and maybe somebody in the chat can help me. Is that the first time we've actually seen hyperspace in the show?
I was about to say that I believe that is the first time I've seen it. Yes. And yes, there are the spider people, the shadow spiders. How do you feel about that, Londo? The ship has been destroyed.
Yes, Omni, that is my question.
Ooh. Cars. I do like that they are making Jakard be an extremely shrewd individual. Very shrewd. Okay, so he was just saying how there is a moment when you come out of hyperspace where there is a communication loss because of the power drain. But there's no way that they could have been attacked in that period unless they knew they were going to be there. And he said, but that's impossible. The only people who knew, and then he looks at Londo and they're like, are you insinuating something? And he goes, no, I'm not. And that's true. Like, he knows that there's nothing to gain at this moment.
I don't remember that, Josh Street. Josh Street says that we saw hyperspace in episode 1 of season 1.
No, I'll take a look. Okay, subtle changes. I do remember you saying how uh, she wanted to be out of the makeup. not spend so much time in the makeup chair every day.
What's amazing is it took him longer to do this appearance than her original appearance.
Really?
Yep, in the makeup chair.
Okay, so was it that she wanted to be out of the makeup chair, or were there other health issues that made her want?
I think she did have some issues with the Narn. I'm sorry, the Mimbari makeup.
You're hanging out with me too much, Jeff.
I
You're doing.
know, I know.
And that's a good question that his sister's asking, if it's just outward changes or if her entire genetic structure has been changed by this.
But Texas is right. The change in appearance was always in the works. It was always in the plan.
Hmm.
It had nothing to do with the actress wanting out of the makeup.
Now I know in Farscape, uh, Zahn, the blue lady, she was having massive medical issues because of the full body makeup paint they did.
Yeah, she did.
And they tried to change it. They tried to limit the amount of skin that they had to paint. But even then she was still having major issues, and they actually she was also, in addition to that, having cancer problems. And yes, there is Ishara, also known as Beth something or other.
I'm not sure how you pronounce her last name. Toussaint, Toussaint,
Sure.
something like that.
But it's interesting when you look at like the early stuff she did. It looked a lot like they were trying to play her up as this um, Linda Connor kind of person. Like very much same builds, same hairstyles. Linda, Linda Connor, Sarah Connor from
I
Terminator.
was wondering. I thought you meant Sarah.
Linda Connor, Sarah Hamilton. Yes, yes, that is what I was going for.
So she was going anyway. It
And the
wasn't
sister,
that he couldn't meet up with Anna. She was going to go on that trip anyway.
and did the
So
sister
he was
say she was
feeling.
debating about giving it to him?
I didn't catch that, but she got it a week before Anna passed away.
What are you up to, Garibaldi? Ah, there we go. So Garibaldi was concerned about being around anyone from the Psi Corps because of that salute that his second in command gave him. And yeah, someone a minute ago was saying that the interview scene was all but implying the Home Guard were just useful idiots, and here's Garibaldi saying it again, more point blank, that the Psi Corps, that the Home Guard wasn't the one ultimately behind the assassination. Did I notice the uniform changes this season? No.
They did make slight alterations to the Earth Force uniforms. And Jakar's outfit looks a little more spiffed up.
Okay, I did notice that in the UN room, that his outfit, at least at that time, kind of had like this bluish copperish kind of sheen to it. But I kind of just been assuming that was um, like a more fancy outfit for the UN room. I like how Dolores is. It's like I have eyebrows and hair.
Hair, yeah. And you'll notice the hair goes underneath the bone.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering about the insignia on the right shoulder, Texas, but I wasn't sure if it was a new one or if it was always there and I just hadn't paid attention. And sure enough, prisoner lost in shipment. And the president is
Now,
not taking any calls.
they sent all the evidence, but I'm sure they have backups. However, who's going to believe them? It's pretty flimsy evidence.
And I noticed the window has been spruced up a bit. The Starfield.
Yeah, a little bit. I think you're right on that.
Truck reviewer wants to know: is that Doolin's real hair or a wig?
Doolin.
Ivanova?
That's Claudia Christian.
Or do you mean Dylan?
Delenn? Do you mean Delenn?
Yeah. Auto correct got him.
I'm not sure. That's Mira Furlan that plays Dolores.
Yeah, who's Dylan? No one knows that name. Auto correct. It's supposed to be Dolores.
Right?
Well, Jeff, what did you think of the episode?
It was pretty good. We get a lot of revelations in this episode.
Ew.
R has his suspicions about an ancient race that's coming back. We have Londo with more dealings with Mr. Morden, like his proper name. We learn a little bit about Sheridan's past. He's been married and lost his wife. And you could almost draw a little comparison between Sheridan and Sinclair there. His Sheridan's wife was on an expedition to find ancient civilizations and technology and doing exploration like that. Well, what was Sinclair's fiance doing? She was scouting planets and looking for resources. So kind of similar in that regard.
True.
Yeah. Mr. Garibaldi is now awake, and we find out that Jack was behind it for sure. Well, we knew that already, but he didn't. But he found out. Now he's gone, and we think that maybe Mr. Bester is involved in some way. So a lot of revelations going on here, as the title says, and that was a good episode, and just more to come, a lot more to come, a lot of good stuff yet to come.
And honestly, I am amazed at how much I got right.
You did very well.
I'm honestly shocked. I did not expect to get anything like that correct. But wow, Jakar coming back, Dolores hatching,
She,
physiological
well,
changes.
did you expect her appearance to be like that?
Like that, no. I wasn't. I thought maybe her appearance would change, but I didn't think it would be more human. Despite the fact that you literally warned me that her appearance would change to be more human early on.
Did I?
Yeah, I swear you made some comment about how her appearance. Maybe you didn't say human, but you said her appearance changed um, later on in the series.
Okay, I might have said that. I don't remember saying she looked more human. I think I wanted to keep that secret. But if you had seen any promotional materials from season 2 on, you probably would have already known her new appearance. I don't know if you have or not. Maybe you forgot, or maybe you just didn't see it.
So I have seen her in this attire before, or like
Okay.
images of it. I did not realize that was Dolores though.
Okay. Well,
So it
fair
was
enough. Fair
still
enough.
surprising. Or
Uh, Now I'm going to go back to the pilot episode, The Gathering.
Mhm.
And that story, when they were producing that, they originally wanted to have Dolores sound masculine, and they tried to mask Mira Furlan's voice to sound that masculine, and they couldn't get it right. It just didn't sound good enough, so they dropped that. So that transition that we just saw was Dolores supposedly originally going to go from masculine to feminine.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
we lost that part in the transition, but at least we kept her Mimbari look going to more human.
Okay. So that does make sense that JMS always planned for this to happen, but it didn't happen the way it was originally planned. So it fit in with his idea anyway, but for different reasons.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
One thing I want to say, and we should have probably said this last week, the we didn't see the character this week, but the pilot. Trying to find the note that I have on him. Oh, now I can't find it. I typed it out. Now I can't find it. It's not here. Well, forget I said that. Can't find it. He was in Star Trek at some point, and I just can't find my note on him now, so I can't tell you who he played or anything like that. Oh, Warren Kiefer. He was played by Robert Russler. He was in Enterprise in the episode Anomaly. He played an Asarian, and they boarded Enterprise after it was damaged by spatial anomalies. And he was a pirate.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So he was in Star Trek.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoy the episode.
Good.
I especially liked it because I got so much of it right.
Yes. Very good, Matthew.
But I like how we're picking up the pieces. Like season 1 ended, things are in disarray. I like how it's coming back together. We're saying yes, we're still moving forward with Londo, with Jakar, with Dolores. Things are moving around now. Kind of getting to the point where we also have the secondary aides coming more into their role. We got Lanier now. We got Natoth.
Natoth. Yeah.
And we have Jakar's or Londo's aide, who I can't think of his name, but
Veer Kato.
Veer. Um,
We haven't seen much of him this season yet. He was in last week, but
yeah, just kind of
not
there
this
for
week.
briefly. So I like that they're letting us know that even though things are changing and the political intrigue is kicking up, we still have our core cast going on. There's change, everything changes, it's all changed, nothing's the same. But at the same time, I mean, a lot of it's the same.
Nothing's the same more. Yeah, nothing's the same anymore, as Sinclair said.
Yeah.
And as Jakar said in early season 1, no one here is exactly as he appears.
It's true. I also, what was the other thing? There's something they did. I forget now.
Thomas.
Dr. Franklin's still a quack. Yeah, and now he's using the pseudoscience machine. So I mean, I do like how we see Londo's shifting, and I really like how Jakar has shifted.
Yeah, it's amazing how those characters have changed, but and their relationship is still antagonistic. It's just a delight to see those two actors play off each other, though. They have great scenes together, and you're going to see way more great scenes between the two.
Like it's great, specifically. And I mentioned this in the middle of things, I know, but I just want to say it again because I get easily sidetracked in the middle of the episode.
You get sidetracked?
I do. Yeah, I know. Weird. I love how I feel like it was Sinclair who really caused Jakar to reevaluate everything. The speech he made about how the Narn were initially agricultural and things have pushed them into that, but that's not who they were supposed to be. So why don't we course change? I feel like that 100% got through to Jakar. And now beyond that, he is realizing there's a bigger picture. So one, like Sinclair's plea landed on him, and I feel like that set the stage for him to go and discover this other stuff and really be willing to go from someone who's like, how does it benefit me? Like we saw this happen several times, but most notably the episode with the parents who refused to let their son be operated on. And they went to Jakar, and Jakar point blank said, yes, I could help you, but what's in it for me? Oh, nothing? Screw y'all, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And for him to go from that position into guys, this is going to affect us all. We all need to put aside our differences and work together because this is going to impact everyone. That's a huge change. Meanwhile, you have Londo, who, he came to the same conclusion as Jakar, but he came from it from a more political standpoint. So he's been more willing to put things to the side and not help out, but like be more big minded about things, big picture minded. And now we see he's very much drilling in on what's good for my race. So I don't necessarily care what happens to the other races. What's good for the Centauri? How can I get the most out of this for the Centauri? And it's really a flip, and I'm enjoying seeing that develop.
Well, he thought his race was losing its prestige. They were the big power in the quadrant for a long time, and now they're just letting it slip all away, and he's missing those times. He wants that back for the Centauri. Now he sees an avenue to get that back. And it's not about him. It's about the Centauri.
Yeah. I do like that we still get those moments where he doesn't understand who he's backing really. Like it's literally like, imagine if someone met the devils at the crossroads sort of thing, and he's willing to give you anything you wanted, and the person doesn't realize that they're meeting the devil, and so they're like, oh yeah, sure, give me this absurd thing, and yeah, it's going to have this disastrous outcome, but of course you can't do that. Like he has no idea who he's talking to, and he doesn't understand the cost that it will require to get him what he wants. And I like seeing that while he's more and more willing to make that deal with the devil, he's still like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's going to cost what? Ooh, I'm not sure if that sits well on me.
Well, so far he hasn't paid very much. He's given a little bit of information to Mr. Morton about what's happening on the rim.
True. But I mean, like, he had
He-
the guilt about
Hey,
the Narns
that's
being
true.
wiped out. And in
That's
this
true.
episode, I need to rewatch it to see what his reaction was to Jakar realizing that Londo sold him out.
Well, how much does Jakar really suspect? I'm not sure at this point.
He has a suspicion that he suspects something at the very least.
A suspicion that he suspects. Okay.
So, yeah, it's hard not to watch more episodes because they are definitely hitting the ground running in the season.
They are. They are. And some people say skip season 1. I don't know. There's too much there. There's too much there. A lot of people that are fans of the show, if they do a rewatch, they will skip season 1 because it's mostly setup, and they say, "Oh, I know the setup already. Let me jump into the really good stuff in season 2." I say, "Nah, watch it anyway because you're still going to pick up things that you probably missed in the past." And Omni TKO, that might be a good reason to skip season 1, but just skip TKO.
Yeah, positive. I disagree completely. Do not skip season 1. Yes, it's set up, but there's so many great moments in it. I mean,
Oh yeah, don't skip season 1.
Londo passing out drunk on the table, like missing out all that. The interactions you get between, okay, a lot of season 1 reasons I like season 1 is Londo, I mean, cards on the table.
Oh yeah,
But the interaction you get between
that's great.
Garibaldi and Londo, where Londo was going to kill Jakar, and he talks about how he had a dream where he said the Centauri know how they're gonna die, basically, where they get
Right?
premonitions about their death, and he knows that he's gonna die with his hands around Jakar's throat. Definitely pushing that way.
Yeah,
Right
it
now.
seems like it.
But you miss so much. You miss the interactions. Like, I don't watch an episode of Star Trek because I go, ooh, I don't know what's going to happen in this episode of Star Trek. I watch it because I love the story anyway.
Yeah, and this story is just great.
And it's like rereading a book you really love, but skipping the first 4 chapters. Like, you still need to read those chapters. They're part of the book. And Josh is saying the only episodes not to skip in season 1 is A Voice in the Wilderness parts 1 and 2, along with Babylon Squared. So if all you were concerned with is getting the major story beats, I'd say you'd still need to watch the episode. Was it Born to the Purple? Is that the one where the Psi Core guy shows up, the old flame of Talia's?
No. That is Mind War.
Mind War. You need to watch that one too, because that lays down the foundation for Sinclair being in front of the Grey Council. And that's an important plot point. And you'd need to at very least watch episode 1.
I think you're thinking of the next one, The Sky Full of Stars.
Is that what it was?
That's the one where we see the scenes of Sinclair in front of the Grey Council.
Okay. Yes. So you need to watch that. Very important. You need to watch the first episode, like not the pilot, but I'm talking about if just you want the story beats. You need to watch the first episode.
Midnight on the Firing Line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one, and it establishes the Narn and Centauri being antagonistic with each other.
And then Born to the Purple, isn't that the one where his girlfriend goes to the planet and she sees the not spider, shadow spiders? Is that
Born in
and
the Purple is the one that Londo has the relationship with Adira,
right?
the dancer, and she steals his purple files.
I thought it had a minor side plot where Jakar found out that the Cassidy Yates version of Babylon 5 was going to sector something or other, and he's like, "Oh, send a non
Sigma
cruiser."
957.
Was that
Sigma
was that a different
957.
episode?
Yeah, that was a different one. That Mind War?
Could be. I clearly don't remember. No, that wasn't Midnight on the Firing Line. Surely
No,
not Joel.
it wasn't midnight. No.
It may have been Mind War. It may have been. It was just a quick side piece, and
Yeah,
Jakar
it
has
was.
that conversation at the end about how would imagine you were an ant and someone picked you up. Like how what must that be like for the ant's perspective to be picked up by a human? So far more powerful than them. It'd be like being touched by the gods, more or less.
And you can't skip signs and portents. And in fact, I think that's the best episode of the season.
Oh yeah.
We get Mr. Morden showing up for the first time.
And Deathwalker, pretty important.
Deathwalker, yes.
So there's a lot of episodes in season 1 that lay down major plot points about what's coming. So I'm not sure if you could skip out like that.
And Texas is right. Chrysalis. You have to watch Chrysalis, the end of season 1.
Yeah. And of course, the season finale that leads directly into season 2. So I respectfully disagree with anyone who wants to skip out on season 1. The character interactions, the plot laydown, I just feel like you'd miss so much.
You would.
And I full disclosure, I'm someone who, by far and large, cannot stand TNG season 1. I watch it anyway.
I actually prefer season 1 to season 2, but I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I do.
So I mean, I just don't feel like I feel like one of the reasons the later stuff is so good in a lot of ways is because I see where they came from. Now, to be fair, unless it's been an awful long time, I do skip the pilot episode. I cannot take Encounter at Farpoint anymore. I give up. It is
I'm sorry. What episode?
Encounter at Farpoint.
Oh, you mean Farpoint and Encounter?
Do I? Because I'm pretty sure
I think you.
I've said it more than once.
You called it Farpoint and Encounter at some point.
I did, and it is.
You did.
It's forever that now.
And John even says, "Don't you mean Farpoint and Encounter?"
So yeah, I do skip that one. I can't take that scene with Tasha Yar before Q. I can't. Just
this
even
court should bow down in front of what Starfleet represents, or whatever she said.
Should get down on his knees and thank Starfleet. Like, okay, whatever, Tasha, with your gangs and
the right gangs.
I can't even with her. So let's talk about next week. Next week is called The Geometry of Shadows. And even though
I believe Thomas had a prediction of what you would say about Geometry of Shadows.
I was saying, even though this is probably going to drive Thomas nuts, I'm going to predict it's something to do with the shadow spiders. Is that what he was predicting I would predict?
No, not quite.
Oh no, he was I did see that. He predicted that I'd say this was a math competition between the light and the shadow races.
Was
Yeah,
it the Shadow Race or the Vorlons? I don't recall now.
yeah, Mr. Lindell, that was probably the worst line ever uttered in Star Trek. I put it, I think I do put it even worse than Tasha Yar's speech about drugs to Wesley. And frankly, here's a hot take for everyone. I put it
Drugs make
as
you feel good.
I put it as even worse than Michael Burnham out logicking the security system to lower the force field in the pilot episode of Discovery.
Thankfully, I don't remember that.
It was it was dumb. She basically went through regulations to prove that her life was in mortal danger, and Starfleet prison cells were designed that if the the occupant's life was in mortal danger, they had to lower the shields, the force field around the prison cell so the prisoners
You
could
had to
get to
remind
safety.
me of that.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
John says you lost him when you said it was worse than Burnham. Nothing is worse than Burnham.
that line of dialogue from Burnham, it's stupid, but at least you can see them putting in an effort. Tasha Yar's thing was just, it was 100%. I almost said Michael Burnham. Wow. It was 100% Gene Roddenberry just patting himself on the back. Oh, the thing I've created is so amazing and everyone should be so thankful and we're so enlightened in the future. No. Oh, goodness, no. Just stop the cringe. Just stop. I know, Mr. Lindell. I know. I'm right there with you. STD on the whole, horrible series. But I have to say that line from Tasha, I rank it as worse than the lines we got out of Burn. I rank it as worse than That's the Power of Math, people. That's how much I despise that line from Tasha Yar. Yes, Josh, that's the real reason I can't stand it. I'm ashamed that I wrote those lines for Tasha Yar. I was the one who wrote those lines for Tasha Yar, and it fills me with just shame to hear them repeated back to me and know that was my handiwork.
Shame on you, Matthew. Shame on you.
No, okay, so my prediction for next week, the geometry of shadows. No, I don't think this is going to be about trigonometry. No, I don't think this is going to be about math. I think this is going to be looking more into the effect that the shadow people are having on the different races. That is, it's not just that these people represent a threat because they are super technologically advanced. I mean, they ripped through the Narn cruiser like it was tissue paper. And yes, they did do it at a strategic, but I feel as if the Narn cruisers wouldn't have posed a threat no matter what. I feel like the reason they did it right then was simply to give themselves reasonable doubt. But by saying, oh, we just lost communication, is different than saying, hey, we established communication and then it blew up. I feel like they're just keeping themselves in the shadows for right now. So I feel like beyond them being a technological threat, I feel like somehow their presence is moving the universe toward evil. That simply by them being here and being present, they are getting people to move toward acts of evil, like Londo. I mean, it's a little trite here, but they're kind of like the Satan of the universe. They're literally the devil at the crossroads and offering people deals in exchange for their souls so far. So, and it's interesting because Jakar, even though he... What? Oh, John. Geometry of shadows. Shadow spider area equals pi times discount sterling squared. No, so I mean, it's interesting because we see Jakar, even though he initially kind of gave a more aggressive response when discount sterling said, what do you want? He kind of gave a more initial aggressive response. It's interesting that ultimately he didn't take up the offer that was given to him. Whereas Londo, who, yes, he also gave an aggressive response in the end, but he failed the test, so to speak. He did take Sterling up on his option. So I kind of feel like that's what the Geometry of Shadows is going to be about, how the presence of the shadow people is kind of having this far-reaching impact on the universe. And we're starting to see it in subtle ways that the universe is moving toward destabilization. And the piece that we're building up is now starting to be taken apart. Dismantled, that's a better word for it. Yeah, that's my guess.
All right, we'll see how your guess comes out. How close you got.
But I mean, hey, after a week where I got even this good, I think we all know it's not just going to be that I'm going to strike out next week on my prediction. I'm going to be in the wrong baseball field entirely, probably. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if I went to a football field instead. So I'm not even just in the wrong sports stadium. I'm in the wrong sports genre. So let's find out next week how right and wrong I am at our usual hour of scampering. Everyone, thanks for hanging out with us tonight.
Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.